Hi, this is Glenn with Crimson Lotus Tea. We are here today with Sara Breakfield, Twig and Snip. Say hi, Sara.
Hello.
Hi, this is Glenn with Crimson Lotus Tea. I got that going on over there. I apologize. Sorry about that. I have been working on the audio. Sara and I got up super early this morning. We made a test stream. I've made a lot of tweaks to the audio, so hopefully we don't have any of the same issues that we had last time. If you guys let me know if like the audio is off, if it's too loud, if it's too quiet, but I think it's gonna be good because we did a lot of testing to make sure that this one works good. So, anyways, I'm excited because we've got some new tea today. It's new tea to us relatively. I mean, it's a 2020 tea, but Sara did the artwork for us, and this is the art. I'm sure you guys have seen it. There we go. That's what this fisheye lens is all about. Nice big cool close-ups and stuff there. Such a fun art, such a fun project, and this has been a fun blend of ours for a while. And Sara and I are gonna drink it together at the same time, and you guys can join us if you have it. Show us your teapot, Sara. What are you brewing in today?
I think this is one I got from you guys.
Really? Okay. Is that?
Maybe.
Oh shoot! That was a long time ago when we were probably still dabbling in some I Ching. That's an I Ching teapot, right?
Yeah.
That was probably.
I got it from you guys.
So Sara has been having tea with us probably since the beginning, right? I mean, 2013, 2014, 14-ish or something.
Yeah.
So you're friends with Laura, and and she's the one who brought you over to our house for tea. Is that right? Is that how that happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were working together at a tea shop, and
that's right. Okay, so you were working there too.
He was like, Crimson Lotus, and I was like, oh, okay. And
okay. And so
it began.
Yeah, so I remember she was super excited, and she brought you over, and maybe one other friend or something, and
yeah.
I think maybe that's the last time she actually came over and had tea with us. But then you stuck, and you're here all the time. We love it.
I know.
You've had tea with us. You kind of made it like your birthday tradition, right? Every single year for a while. So it is your birthday. Soon-ish. This isn't exactly your birthday, but we can call it your birthday tea tasting, right?
Yeah, we're close enough.
Nice.
I think I've done it this is like the 5th or 6th year in a row I've done it now.
Nice. That's really cool. I like that when when we don't have a big giant pandemic and people can actually come over for tea and stuff like that. But in the meantime, we'll make do virtually, and I have possibly overstuffed this guy, so. But it's a little tiny mouth. But this is a tea. If you're gonna oversteep a tea, do it with this one here. This tea's pretty good. So you've had Beneath an Emerald Sea with us many times then, because we would have shared that with you back in 2016 and 2018. So
yep,
you've
it's been a favorite for a long time.
That's awesome. So I didn't even realize that you did art or were into producing your own art. I mean, I always knew you were very creative. You're always making your own clothes and doing things like that, but I didn't realize that you were doing like artwork on print stuff. Tell us a little bit about your relationship or your experience with art.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting road that it's taken over the years, because I've been an artist for a long time, but I sort of got out of 2D art.
Yeah.
And got into weaving and fiber arts for a long time.
Right.
Making my own dyes, making my own yarns, and weaving and things like that. Nests, little sculptural nests and things.
Yeah, it's all. You've got a very earthy or organic type vibe going on. I mean, maybe there's a better way to describe that, but yeah.
No, I mean, it's true. I mean, that's part of the reason I like doing art, is to help people connect to nature.
Yeah.
I think there's so much beauty in nature. But this year, I mean, I draw.
You're a drawer.
I'm trying to call it illustration.
Right.
It just
you
better.
Illustrate, yes.
I illustrate. I've done it for years, but mostly for friends and family, because I've never felt like it's good enough.
I feel
but
that.
I think
it's the artist's
I
curse.
think this I
curse
know
of perfection.
it's the curse of perfection. Yeah, This year, like just, can we cuss on YouTube? Is that okay? Glenn's like, no.
It's not. I don't have it set to like not have kids. So if you would like to use a little French, I'm not going to stop you.
Everything went to heck.
Yeah. It's your son.
And so I guess the background to this piece is that I lost my dog very suddenly this year.
And that was Pinto, right?
Pinto.
Yeah.
And she was like my little soulmate. We did everything together.
Well, I mean, your dog even came to tea tastings with us.
Yeah. She was she was just like the person I was closest to in the world, and we lost her within like a 48-hour period very
That's
suddenly.
So fast.
And I just started drawing as sort of like, I just wanted to see her again.
Yeah.
And it was just a way for me to just do something too, because I'd also lost my job like right around that time.
Right.
And it was just a way for me to express, obviously. And I just started drawing her like over and over and doing these little illustrations, and people really seemed to enjoy it, which was weird because I was like, who wants to see my dog but me? But
well, I thought. So I mean, I saw these, and I'm like, I knew what was happening, and I knew what you were going through, and I saw the your dog illustrations, and I just thought that they did a really good job of just kind of capturing the spirit, and and they were just so happy and whimsical, and I just really enjoyed them, and that's when I was just like, well, maybe we could use like one of those designs on like one of our cakes, and we hadn't come up with a new design for Beneath an Emerald Sea, and so I was just like, I messaged you and I'm like, hey, do you want to do a wrapper for us? And I kind of gave you like the rough, I kind of gave you like the rough outline, and like I definitely want Pinto on there. So yeah, that is this is her dog. This is Pinto right here. And so funny story is I'm really bad at actual real people names because everything I do is digital. And so I've known you. I knew you specifically as Twig and Snip for so long because that's who you were on Instagram, and when we would chat, it was always through Instagram. And it took me the longest time to remember or even realize that your real name was Sara. I honestly thought your name was Twig, and I thought your Instagram account was Twig and Snip, and I thought like Snip was the name of your dog because I just thought that was just like so fitting. I was just like, how cute is that? Like she's Twig and she does like earthy art stuff, and like Twig and Snip is the dog. And so in my mind, your dog's always named Snip and you're always named Twig.
Okay.
And that's just how it's stuck in my head. So I'm really happy that this worked out. So you said this art project took a little bit longer than you had intended, right? Just all the coloring and stuff. And
yeah, it's also a lot larger than I normally work because I usually have like a little 4x6, 5x7 area that I'm working on, like pretty small.
Right. Yeah, so we had you kind of do like a 12 by 12 or something like that, because it's got to scale
13
up.
by 13.
13 by 13. It's got to scale up to it's got to be pretty close to the wrapper size. You start to see like loss when you scale digitally and whatnot. So, so there was just a lot of green for you to fill in, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
So tell people about your process. What do you prefer to like, or what was this painted on, and like what materials and tools and did you use to make it?
Well, I did this one a little bit differently than I do some of my other pieces, because I mostly actually work with colored pencil, which sounds lame, but I really like it. And you can really get some beautiful things done with colored pencil. And I've actually just recently got some oil-based colored pencils. And
those are fun.
They are. But this one, I did mostly do colored pencils, like all of the seaweed and the animals are in colored pencil. But the background, because I don't normally fill a background, because I usually use colored paper.
Yeah.
It was a lot. And I think I did cover it with colored pencil, but I didn't like the way it looked. So then I went back with gouache, which are kind of watercolor paints.
In hindsight,
kind
we
of
probably could have
done
something for the background digitally. If I'd known it was going to take that long, I think we probably could have probably could have worked it out. But it did turn out nice, and it does give like the whole paper a certain greenish emeraldy feel, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I think it came out cool, and that little sort of like watermarking ended up doing with the watercolor.
Because
with the gouache,
there's a lot.
Cool.
Unless people actually like have the cake in front of them, they're not going to actually see a lot of the like a lot of the detail. I mean, I can try and get some of it and stuff in here. Maybe, I don't know. It's kind of There's a whole bunch of it definitely does look watery and washed when you actually have the label on hand. It's has a little bit of a watercolor type, like stained paper feel to it, which I think comes across. We can't actually see that because that's off screen, but that's all good. So I'll talk about this blend for a minute. So this was one of the first blends that we put together. I came up with the idea in 2015. At that point, all I had blended was Hidden Song. Hidden Song was kind of like my first experiment. Like I'm gonna blend something. I'm gonna make a tea. I'd been talking with a lot of like tea experts and tea shop owners and people who did blending and things, and I really liked this idea of basically making the tea blend like my artistic contribution to the process, because I'm definitely a big fan of like single origin, like single tree, single garden, single mountain, things like that, where something can like speak for itself. But there's something interesting that can happen when you work together multiple elements. You can kind of make a single product. If your blend is good, you can make a single product that is greater than the sum of its parts, which is certainly what I try to do. And so the idea for Beneath an Emerald Sea came about in 2015, but I didn't have the material to put it together until 2016, and so then we put it together, and so that was super awesome. That's a 2016 Beneath an Emerald Sea is a really, really good tea, and you've had that from us before.
I still have some of that one, actually. I don't think I realized that was one of the first ones you blended.
After Hidden Song. And
That's cool.
it aged so good. It aged so good. Like we've got like one box of it left, maybe like 8 tones here in Seattle. And anytime somebody's like, I don't know what to buy from your set, I'm like, you need to buy that. You just need to buy that because it's in such a good position right now, which is So tell us about your history, your relationship with tea. What do you normally drink? What do you like? How'd you get started with it?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't really remember like how I started really like drinking tea. It's funny because people ask me that sometimes, and I'm like, I really don't kind of remember. I mean, we originally used to live in Seattle, and we used to live in Ballard, and I seem to remember at some point, I don't know why, but we went to Zen Dog.
Nice.
And because he's got that really cool like place. There's like all these Chinese lanterns like all over the place, and kind of an art gallery, and you go in and you just sit and you drink tea with him.
So for the people who are in chat or who are watching along, if you guys don't know who Zen Dog is, you should look him up on Instagram or just go to like zendogstudios.com or something. Fascinating guy, as old as the hills. He looks like what I'm going to look like in like 50 years probably. He's just got this giant white beard, and he's this little old Hobbit style tea master that lives north of Seattle. Has this gorgeous old home that he's turned the entire thing into like an event space, and like he's got like tons of like giant tables like this, and you can just go in and have tea sessions with him. I've had a tea session with him as well. So you had is that where you were introduced to Gong Fu or the Asian style of brewing tea? Yeah,
I think so, and I think he was the one that introduced me to pu'er too, actually, because I think I was originally drinking oolong, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to try this? It's really earthy," and I was like, "Okay."
Like I like earthy.
Yeah, I like earthy, and so I really got into like show pu'er, and then
that's how it starts.
Started working at the tea shop. And then you remember, I think it was the first birthday I came to you guys. I was like, I don't get green pu'er. teach me. And so we just sat and drank pour for like 3 hours. And I was like, okay, I think I get it now.
I think I get it now.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes that's what it needs, because that's what it took for me to really understand sheng, was actually sitting down with, you know, tea masters in China. I'm not saying I'm a tea master, but just sitting down with people who knew how to brew it, and then it all made sense. And once that Pandora's box was open, I mean, I still absolutely love pu'er, but you know, 99 times out of 100, if I'm like, what am I gonna drink today? It's like sheng.
Yeah. I don't almost never buy any of the dark anymore. It's almost
so
always...
Oolong Owl is here. She's in the chat. She said that 2008 Beneath an Emerald Sea is her favorite. She doesn't know why, but she's not tried the new one yet. And I think is it next week? Shar, is it next week that Shar is going to be in the chat with us? I can't remember. It's this month. It's in my calendar. I hope it's in my calendar. I've been trying to be real organized about this, but apparently I wasn't organized, and I forgot to send Sarah a test invitation last night. And so then 9 o'clock, I'm like, hey, are you ready? And she's like, ready for what? And I'm like, oh no, I made a big mistake. Yes, it is Oolong Owl next Friday, which is also going to be fun. Orlando is here as well. He's in the chat, and he knows who Zendog is. Yeah, if you guys are in the Seattle area and you've not actually taken the time to go and have some tea with Zendog, you definitely should. Fun guy, very, very interesting. Have you seen the Ferrari that he drives? Have you seen that?
Not the Ferrari. I've seen the Land Rover.
Yeah, he's got a 1950s Land Rover or something like that, or Ranger, whatever. I don't know exactly which ones, but it's one of those like vintage ones that all the collectors crave over. But yeah, no, he was a pretty big deal architect in Seattle in the 70s or something, designed a whole bunch of stuff, made a bunch of money, and then just got completely disillusioned with it, turned his life to tea. But he still has some of the trappings of his old life, including a mint condition Magnum PI red Ferrari. It is exactly the one in Magnum PI, and he just drives that around to tea stuff, and in his vintage red Ferrari. Funny. He's such a composition.
He's an eclectic.
He's an eclectic guy. Super fun, very, 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 very generous. So yeah.
Oh yeah, such a nice man. Yeah. Very fond memories drinking tea there, and him playing the Grateful Dead at the background.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. He's a fun character. Okay, cool. So that's awesome. So you started from that, and then you got a job at a tea house, and that was over in Snohomish or something, and you started working in the tea biz.
I did. So then I worked for a different company, doing tea and kombucha, and then I started working for Floating Leaves, I guess about 2 years ago now.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, Floating Leaves is a Seattle tea shop. She's got a pretty big online following, deals almost exclusively in Taiwanese oolong, but she dabbles in pu'er tea as well.
She does, yeah.
So are you still working for Floating Leaves sometimes, or I guess maybe it's kind of hard this year?
I was most of this year, but then just recently moved full-time into floristry. But I told her, I was like, if you ever need help, just let me know. So if they ever do need me, I'm like, just give me a call.
Just give me a call. So the floristry stuff, are you working at an established florist, or are you trying to roll your own thing, or both, or?
I mean, eventually that's the plan. Actually, this year I did kind of successfully run a little flower delivery business.
I know, because I had some flowers delivered to my wife from your surprise flower delivery business.
Yeah, that was sort of another thing that I was, before the pandemic, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do, stuff with the flowers and do booths and stuff, and
I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this. Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm already driving down to Seattle anyway, and I just put the call out to everyone. I was like, who wants flowers delivered? It's this price, and I will bring them to your door. And I had a lot of people that did it every week for
that's really great.
20, 30 weeks. And It was great. It was so fun. I would just send out pictures like the night before and be like, "What do you want?" And
And I
they'd
never
be
know
like,
what
"I
I
want
want. I'm like, I don't know. Make what Llama wants, but you can't tell Llama it's coming. So that's always stressful because it's interesting how different well, different cultures have different uses for different flowers. Like there's like
that." Oh, for
certain
sure.
there's like certain flowers like you're never supposed to give to like a Japanese girl because they're only used like during like funerals or something like that. So giving that to
Exactly.
them and then they're like, oh my gosh, like why would this guy give me like death flowers or something? So it's kind of
Yeah.
funny. So I'm sure you know a lot about those things, but
Well, it's funny. I
don't.
just learned recently that, and I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what I've been told from the other flower people at the shop, is that usually Russians don't want even numbers of flowers because it's unlucky.
Oh.
So they don't usually buy like a dozen. They'll usually buy 11 or like 31 or something like that.
That's interesting. I'll have to ask Anton about that. Do you remember Anton? Yeah. I'll ask Anton about that. Anton, Russian kid, worked at like Miro Tea for a while. He was always around to like our booth and doing stuff like that. I'll see if he knows about that. I chat with him sometimes. Luke in chat says Seattle sounds like it's a weird place. Seattle's a pretty great place. It's an eclectic place. But yeah, no, Seattle is weird, but that's kind of how we like it. We kind of prefer it a little.
It's true.
Prefer it a little bit different, and it just gives a chance for interesting characters to have a place to be interesting. So
I feel like it's kind of a place like. I mean, like you're a local, you grew up there, but I feel like for the most part, it's a place that people come to like from all over the world.
Oh no, I'm not a local. I'm not from Seattle. I have lived in the Seattle area since '92, so I mean, I could certainly be considered, new local, right? Nouveau local. But no, I'm a transplant. I'm born in Michigan, lived in Arizona and Georgia, and mostly here.
Did I know that?
I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, I don't like to talk about my origins. But my mom had a lot of relatives that lived in this area, and so she really always kind of wanted and hoped that she would move back out here, and so they just kind of made it happen once. And I've so basically like halfway through high school, I got dropped in, here and really liked the area, and then ended up going to college here and getting jobs here, and being in the software profession myself, there's no really better place to go unless you want to go down to the Bay Area, which is fine, but so I've just always I go to lots of other places, but I always come back here. I just consider this place home. I love it. Love the Northwest. So you're not. I thought you were a Northwest local too. You're not? We're both transplants?
Really? You thought that? Oh, I must wear it well. Yeah. No, I love it here. I don't want to really be anywhere else. Which makes it hard because it is like such a expensive place to live, but it's just so like magical and beautiful here.
Well, especially just the connection to the untainted wilderness still, because we, because of the way we've got our business set up, we don't really need to be in any one location. As long as I'm close to like a post office, we can literally be anywhere. And that gives us a lot of freedom. And so we think about, other places and other states and things like that, some stuff that may be, like easier to run businesses in or something like that, or maybe places, have, better schools or opportunities for the kids and whatnot. And, I look at other places and I look at a map of Washington State, and you look at like how much of Washington State is like public land, open and accessible. And then you look at like other states. In fact, the further east you get, you realize there's nothing. Like there's no public land. Like I'm like, what do people do? Like where do they go? Like I mean, I could go out and I could like hike for 3 weeks in the Cascade Mountains and never see another person like the entire time. And just like that connection to those mountains just fascinates me. And if the thought of like living someplace else that didn't have that. I mean, even someplace like big like Texas, I was looking into it. I understood the history of Texas, but like I didn't realize there's no public land in Texas, like at all. Like the entire thing. And it's because because of like the debt when the U.S. government bought it from Spain, right? So Spain basically gave it to us, but they had to assume the debt of it or something like that. I forget exactly what it was. And so in order to pay off the billions of dollars of debt, they just sold the whole state. You know, anybody could buy it for a set price, and that's how they actually were able to afford to actually like buy it. Because otherwise, like the U.S., that's what it was. The U.S. government didn't want to bring in Texas as a state if it came with all of the debt that Spain had attached to it. So that's why Texas, as its own entity, had to assume the debt before the U.S. government would pull it in. And so the only way Texas itself was able to pay off that debt was by basically just selling it all off. And they've been starting to like buy little bits of it back, you know, as time goes on to create like public land resources. But like, just how interesting is that? There's no public land in Texas. It's kind of interesting.
Texas, I'm from Texas. It's a weird place.
I'm kind of fond of Texas. I could actually see myself. I could be a Texas guy. I could do it.
I could actually see you being a Texas guy. I think it would work.
So the funny thing is, like, Lamu thinks she's a Texas girl, and that's where Lamu went to school. If you don't know that, she got her degree at UT Dallas, and I remember she was living in New York, like, you know, 10 years ago when they had those like just massive storms. Remember the storms, the winter storms that just pummeled like New York City. And I called her and I was like, hey, these are some really tough storms that are coming there. Are you gonna be okay? And on the phone, she was like, don't worry about me. I'm a Texas girl. And I about died. I just thought that was like the funniest thing ever. So yeah, she totally like glommed on to like that, you know, like strong, independent image. I could see ourselves living in Texas. I could do it.
You could do it. Well, for me, like growing up there, it's like, I don't know. I've just totally become a transplant to the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
I could not do the summers anymore.
I think I probably could. I like the heat. You know, as long as you're not sitting there, you know, doing the whole like sitting inside and air conditioning the whole time, because that's what really makes it difficult. Because we used to live in Arizona as well, and so you end up adapting. But you got to admit, the Pacific Northwest, as far as like mild-ish year-round climates, you really can't beat it, honestly.
You can't beat it.
It's great. But we don't want anybody else to know about that. If you guys are thinking about it,
it's terrible here. Don't come here.
Orlando doesn't want me to go to Texas because all my pu'erh would go to Texas. Well, I mean, yeah, but it's just, you know, just a couple of days shipping away or longer, maybe. Oh, Patrick Penny's on here. Get that Texas pu'erh storage going on. Yeah, Texas pu'erh storage probably doesn't work too great, but honestly, like Seattle straight up natural storage, I don't really know about that as well. So we actually don't have like a natural storage. We've got like a modified storage. Speaking of pu'erh and storage, what are your thoughts on storage? How do you have your setup going? What do you do?
Me?
Yeah, you.
It's so like, I don't know. I put it in the cupboard.
And so
I put it at the back of the cupboard and forget about it.
Is it just straight up like stuck in the cupboard? Is it inside plastic sleeves? Is it in a box or anything like that? Or you're just going for the straight Seattle Northwest natural storage?
Well, so the cakes that I know I'm not going to open, you send them to me, and because I only have Lotus tea. I just leave them in their sleeve and just like put them at the back.
That totally works, and that actually probably helps a little. That'll help to keep. People don't realize like how much like ambient humidity is actually inside of a cake. You know, there's a decent amount of humidity that is in there, and even just having like a simple seal like that is totally fine. The teas actually don't need the as much airflow as people really think that they need. In fact, sometimes the airflow can actually remove aromas from the tea if there's too much airflow going on. I've talked to there's a lot of people even in storage places in, you know, like Kunming that will also just cellophane heat seal closed, you know, cakes that they're really concerned about. Maybe they'll open them up like once a year, and that's enough to kind of create, you know, like an aerobic exchange for. I guess that would be the scientific term for letting your mold breathe. your bacteria, your
Mold-free.
fungus, whatever it is. John says, living in Arizona means getting up at the crack of dawn to get outside for a little bit before it gets too hot. Yeah, I can see that. I honestly, like, I'm probably more okay with like living that lifestyle than Lamo is. Lamo being, born in the Himalayas, like she's not used to hot stuff, but she lived in Texas for a long time. I like getting up early when there's a need to get up early. In the Pacific Northwest here, especially like this time of year, I mean, what, like doesn't get light till like 9 in the morning or something, or I don't know, and then it's dark again at like 4. So like, what's the point of like getting up at like 6 a.m. because it's gonna be dark still for like 3 hours. It makes it the rest of the year, the summer and fall is amazing, right? It gets light at 4. It doesn't get dark till like 10:30 at night. Love that time of year. But
yeah, me too.
Ange wants me to come to New Mexico. All the perks of a desert with none of the brutal heat. I really like New Mexico a lot.
I do too.
Actually, I very much like New Mexico. I've spent a decent amount of time traveling around New Mexico. I like Carlsbad. I like the White Sands area. There's a lot of stuff actually to like about New Mexico. I'm pretty fond of New Mexico. I could see myself doing that. I love the New Mexico Southwest style jewelry with like the. Actually, I don't have my ring on. I left it in the other thing with the big chunky silver and like chunks of like turquoise and the coral and the way those things are all brought together in jewelry. I think it's just
that's
just
totally your
gorgeous.
Style.
It is.
Did you ever go to Angel Fire?
Where is Angel Fire? Why does that sound familiar? Is that the name of a town, or tell me about it?
It's like a little town. I went there with my parents several times and just really, really loved it there. It's like in the mountains. I think we went once during the summer and once during the winter because it's really a ski town, but it was beautiful during
I don't know if I have. I don't know if I have. But yeah, I could see New Mexico. I like New Mexico. Actually, I could see myself living in Arizona as well. Probably somewhere in the southeastern side. I kind of like the Chiricahua area, maybe someplace like a little bit higher altitude. Got some friends that run some vineyards down in that area, and I just visited them when I was down there, and I just love. I don't know. I'm really, really, really drawn to the American Southwest. My grandfather used to live just a couple miles up from the Mexico border, east of Yuma, between Tucson and Yuma, and so I've got a lot of fond memories of having like Christmas with him, like in his desert trailer, out in the desert, and so I don't know, a lot of fond memories of the American Southwest. It is dry storage, Patrick. You're right. It's the driest of dry storage, so you would definitely need to. You'd never have to worry about mold. That's
the
true.
Thing.
Ty says, living on the coastline of an island is perfect all around. Cold and the perfect humidity to store naturally. Yeah, actually some nice. Well, there's some. I would really love to experiment. Sometime. If possible, with like actual natural storage of pu'er tea in the Pacific Northwest. Like maybe even like close to the coastline, like maybe like some of the interesting like smells and aromas of the ocean would interact with the tea in interesting ways. But it's tough, because these aren't like simple experiments. These are like 5 to 10 year experiments, and like I've only got a handful more 5 to 10 year experiments that I can realistically do in my lifetime. But I don't know. I think about them a lot. You young tea drinkers, you guys got to get on the pu'er tea storage experiments like now. You got to do it. Done. Yeah, Orlando wants a dry show. Yeah, you get a dry show. It's desert stored dry show. Patrick says that's what my kids are for. That is what my kids are for. Like all the things that I wasn't able to do in my life, my kids have got to do them. That's what kids like. Kids like the weight of like prior generations. Failings. That's funny. Laika says, I only just figured out the chat. The wrapper is beautiful. Well, the wrapper is thank you, and thanks entirely to Sara, which is very exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
And so yeah, we do have we've got stickers. If you buy a cake, you get a sticker as well, which is kind of cool. And but other than that, it's nice. Samples are one thing, but being able to actually like have like the wrapper itself, It's just something a little extra about that. So pretty happy to be able to do fun art stuff on our wrappers.
I know I've been wanting to do something for you guys for several years, and
this is the year.
It just happened this year.
Yeah. No, it worked out really good. And so you have a new dog now. Do you want to tell us about your new dog?
Pepper is our new dog. That was not. I don't know how. I don't have like a P name fetish, but it just sort of like happened that way. But
and it's also a blue heeler or some sort of a blue heeler style dog, or
she's a cattle dog, but she's red.
Red. Okay, gotcha.
Funny story. Sort of funny story, but interesting story. Let's say. So. Several months after like Pinto had passed, me and my husband were like pretty devastated, and not having a dog in the house was really hard for us because we're very much like dote on our animals, and a lot of my day is like built around my animals, and like in the morning I want to get up and have breakfast and go outside and, have a nice long walk in the woods with my dog. And so I was feeling really depressed, and I was like, I also have a background in like dog training.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, for many years, I worked with a dog trainer and at a dog daycare. And I was like, we have a lot of skills for a difficult breed because cattle dogs are a difficult breed to keep. And so I looked into... They need a lot of
place to put their energy, right?
Yeah, they need a lot of direction. And I looked for rescues in the area that I could volunteer at, specifically that we could foster, because I have fostered dogs before. And we got in touch with the Pacific Northwest Cattle Dog Rescue.
Okay.
Really great organization. They specialize in cattle dogs, and they actually specialize in bringing cattle dogs up from Texas.
Oh, interesting.
And transporting them up here because Texas, for whatever reason, maybe because it's so big, I don't know, has a big pet overpopulation problem.
Interesting.
A lot of rescues transport up from Texas. And we took in a little puppy at first, and that did not go well. So we passed her off to a different foster family. And then we took in this other dog that the foster care coordinator recommended. She's like, I think she would be a really good fit for you guys. Like, she's nice and quiet, because we live in an apartment and we can't have a dog that's barking all the time.
Right.
So we took her in, and we were, she was just so great. Like, I, of course, was like basically an emotional wreck, but it was good for me to have like something to take care of and really focus my energy on. And I just realized one day, like probably like 4 or 5 weeks in, like, well, for one thing, we took her camping, and I was like, let's take her camping. I want to see if she does well with this so we can put it on her, adoption listing, like, because I think she would be a great outdoor dog for somebody, that wants to go camping and all that kind of stuff. And she did great. Like, she just snuggled up with us at night in the tent and was like just so happy. And on the way back down from the mountain, I was just like talking to my husband, and I was like, should we keep her? And he was like, my answer is always going to be yes to any dog that we foster. And I was like, but she just fits in. She just fit into our lives so well. Which I was realizing was like unusual, because I was like, she likes to do all the things that we like to do, and is just a really good girl. And I was like, okay, well, we had to ask our landlords, but so we adopted her, and she's still settling in. It's probably been since July that we've had her, but she's good. She's still learning stuff. And we changed her name to Pepper.
Seawen in chat says that Texas had a lot of dogs because of rattlesnakes. People have like 10 dogs just to keep all the rattlesnakes away. Maybe that's part of it.
Maybe. I think a lot of people in Texas keep their dogs like outside.
It's a little bit easier when the climate is a little bit more acceptable
Yeah.
to it. And I mean, depending on there's certain dog breeds I would never want to keep outside, but I could see like a blue heeler or a cattle dog being an outside dog. I love blue heelers purely because of the Mad Max movie, just his pet dog in the second Mad Max movie. I just always thought that was pretty cool. We had kind of like a when I was a kid, we kind of had like a border collie type thing, and it would constantly be hurting us, like as kids, like walking around the yard. The dog was continuously like hurting us. Really great dog, like super protective of like the kids and the family. And then one day it was just gone. Like, and this was like not in an area where dogs just go missing. So we assumed somebody probably kidnapped it. I mean, because there was like no way for the dog to just like go away, because we were in the middle of nowhere. But I don't know. It was just it's kind of it was weird as a kid being like where's my dog?
Yeah.
What does Luke say? Glenn, if you store some Mao Chow or just loose leaf pu'er in this bags, do you add a packet of oxygen absorbing packets? No, I add oxygen. No, I don't add oxygen absorbing packets, because you want the bacteria or the fungal fermentation that's going on in the pu'er tea is aerobic. It needs oxygen, so you don't want it to be in an entirely oxygen-free environment. You want to have the oxygen balanced with the humidity. Sometimes if we're sending over like just pressed cakes or tones, we'll toss in like just a simple desiccant pack for the shipping, just so that there's not an overabundance of humidity like stuck into a sealed thing. But no, I don't recommend oxygen absorbers stored in with the tea. Now that's certainly needed for some other teas. I know some green teas and some things like that, that are more sensitive to those changes will need something like that. Ty says border collies are the best. Grew up with one as well. Such a destructive hand protective dog. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that's awesome. So you've got a new dog companion. That's pretty cool.
Buddy.
So.
Yeah. I'm hoping once stuff starts to open back up again, there's actually an agility place in Snohomish.
Okay.
And I think she would really enjoy doing agility. So I think we're going to try and do agility lessons.
So, and you post fun pictures of your dog and your nature walks on your Instagram. So if you guys want to see some fun dog pics and stuff, you can follow Sarah at Twig and Snip and see some fun dog pictures. I like to see when you post dog pictures and stuff like that.
Okay, so, good. I was I'm like, is it weird to post on my
It's your
account?
Instagram. It's your Instagram. Post whatever you want.
Like,
it's not like
over half of my life, so
it's totally fine. It's not like ours, like our Instagram is like business focused, because I just want to like take and post pictures of my kids all the time. But it's just like, well, there's only so many kids like people really want to see on like a business Instagram page. So that's what we like. Lamu's like Lost in Yunnan. She's the one who posts all like the behind the scenes stuff, and I try and keep our like Instagram fairly like balanced, or at least focused, I guess. So yeah. Any fun art projects you're working on? Anything new you're going to be releasing? Or you've got an Etsy store, right? People can actually buy like prints and things.
Yeah, I do have some prints up for sale. And I've been doing some like custom animal portraits lately, which is
nice.
Fun.
So people send you a photograph and then you put it into your style. Oh, that's super
or
cool.
Like the last two that I've done, people are like, I want a tiger, or I want this, and I'm like, okay. So
that's awesome.
So I've been doing that. And I've actually started another piece. I sat down the other day to start something, because I have a snake as well. Glenn knows that, but
I did not.
I was gonna try and draw Felix, but I ended up drawing Pinto again.
How come you don't bring your snake over for tea tastings?
I don't think he'd enjoy it.
Really?
No.
Did you ever take your snake for a walk? Did you ever take your snake camping?
Don't take him camping. I do let him out when he wants to come out.
Okay. Remind me what kind of snake it is?
He's a corn snake.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
He, especially after Pinto passed, he actually wanted to come out a lot, and so we got into a new routine of I figured out a way to block off the bedroom, and I just, whenever he wants out, he'll come to the front of the cage and sort of go like,
Wow.
and
Okay.
I'm like,
So
um, so I'll just open it and let him come out and just walk. I monitor him. I'm not just
yeah,
like, have fun.
it's your house.
But yeah, he'll come out and kind of wander around the bedroom for a while, and I'll set up fun little like places for him to like explore, and
That's cool.
yeah.
I snake sat my friend's corn snake when he went on vacation when I was in high school, and it got out in our house and we couldn't find it, and my mom was not amused in
Yeah.
any way. Eventually found it had crawled up like inside of like the table. We had a fairly ornate like dining room table,
yeah.
and it had crawled up and was just kind of like hanging out inside of there. So I eventually found it, but for the entire time that I was snake sitting, like none of my mom's relatives like would even consider coming over to their house, or like, we're not going to that house if there's a snake. Like, none. It was just like, that's it, just done. Josh says, I like corn snakes. They can have some great colors. Jake has a hognose snake. Hognose snakes are
Oh, cool. Fun. Yeah, actually this year, it's not this year anymore, 2020, everyone's stuck at home, but I decided I found one of my favorite podcasts is called Animals at Home, and he focuses a lot on keeping reptiles, and I sort of found some people actually in the Pacific Northwest that do snake training. And
snake training. What can you train a snake to do?
So if you think about like in zoo type settings, right?
Yeah.
You work with wild animals for their safety, right? To
Sure.
be able to move them safely, or
that makes sense. So you're not like training it to like
safely.
Get the newspaper, right?
No. It's more like, I mean, like, part of his like training is him training me, right? So I know like when he comes to the front of the cage and sort of does this, he wants out, right? And so we have that communication where I'm like, okay, he wants to come out and explore, and I'm giving him that choice. So I did a snake training class, which was really fun. And it's just, like a more interesting, it's a way to form like a stronger bond between us, and for me to understand him better. And enjoy him more, because when we have more of a dialogue, like I can really enjoy him.
That makes sense. So you like sci-fi, right? We've talked about sci-fi. Sometimes in these different chats and stuff, I'll in these between two teapots, I'll discuss gaming or some sci-fi media type stuff. So you're not a big
gaming's on my list of topics.
Gaming is on your list. What do you you tell us about gaming? What do you do?
Well, so lately, pretty much every winter, I think for the past couple years, like we've done this, me and my husband. I was going to ask you if you've ever played like D&D style games. But
I have played D&D style games, but I have never actually sat down and played anything out of an actual D&D rule book on a tabletop.
Yeah.
But
I've never done that either.
I totally get it. I understand it all, but I've never actually sat down for an actual like campaign with people.
Yeah.
As surprising as that is. So, So every winter, you and your husband do some game stuff.
Yeah, a long time ago, I used to play Baldur's Gate. On like what a console. Probably like PlayStation 2 or something.
So Baldur's Gate actually has a fairly strict rule set based on an early D&D, like 3 something, right? Was that the rough outline of Baldur's Gate, if I remember correctly?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not that like knowledgeable about it. Yeah. I know it is like D&D style rules and rule system and character class and everything like that. So I played it back in the day, and then within the last few years, I've discovered there's, on the Android, Google Play, and like, Apple, whatever that is, Apple apps. There's a company called Beamdog that has like basically updated all of those style games so that you can play them on your tablet. So that's what we do is we download a different one like every winter.
So it's multiplayer and you guys play together in the same room.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I always have like my magic characters, and he's usually like, because we each have like 3 characters because you have a total of 6.
Yeah. So you go the magic route. What route does your husband go? What is he?
He almost always goes like fighter.
Okay.
He usually has 2 like fighters and maybe a cleric, and then my main character is almost always a druid, and then I like to have a ranger, and then my third one. I know my third one's almost always a shaman too.
You even in games you can't get out of the forest.
I can't.
That's pretty funny. If any games offer an option for stealth, that's generally kind of how I like to do it. I like to sneak, so I'd probably be a thief. I like to sneak. I like to use cunning and guile and talk my way out of things, and I don't know. Nice. It's just I get a kick out of that. But that's
they
how
have some good character classes for that anymore. Like there's like a subclass of thief that I think is called like shadow dancer or something, and you can like several times a day move in and out of the shadow plane.
Interesting.
Or something like
you
that.
hit me at shadow. I don't know about dancing, but. But gently smiling Jaws loves that we were discussing snakes and tea. Of course, yes. She has quite a few fun snakes. I took the kids to the Snake Museum on Highway 2. You know where that is, right? Have you been? I'm sure you've been out to that.
I've actually never been there.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I don't keep snakes myself, so maybe like you would have like a different opinion or perspective on it. But Gemma thought that was the coolest thing ever. She was just like so excited. And Gary has I don't know where we got it, but he got like a bag of snakes, little toy snakes. They're all like about like this big, and he just carries them around like fistfuls of his little snakes. He takes them to bed. He's got his like sort of like fistfuls of snakes.
So
really
cute.
really funny. So you were we were discussing sci-fi once, and I was looking for something new, and you're like, hey, you need to watch The Expanse, and I'm like, okay, like I hadn't heard of it, and you explained it, like roughly what it was. It's like definitely more like actual like science based, like less on the fiction side. It's very accurate sciencey. And I went in with Lamu, and we were Lamu and I at the time, because there's like so many like episodic TV stuff out there. So at the time, Lamu and I, we had like a 3-episode. We had a 3-episode rule. Like if a show didn't grab us by like the 3rd episode, we would just dump it, because otherwise, like we just didn't have the time to like watch, like 3 seasons before it got good or something like that. So we watched the first 3 episodes of The Expanse on Amazon, and both she and I were just absolutely thoroughly confused by it and just really not interested. And so I was just like, but she said it was like really so good, and like I read some other good reviews, but that was our rule, and so we stopped it. But later on, kind of like by myself, when I had time, I'd watch like a half an hour here or there, and so I went all the way through Expanse season 1, and like everything makes sense like in the last episode. That's when you're just like, oh, like I get it. And so like I'm like, Lamu, I know we had that rule, but we got to go back. We have to go back and rewatch it. And she's just like, that's our rule. Like she's like, that the show's kind of boring. I'm like, I know, but just like. We just got to get through. And then she did it too. And she's like, oh my gosh. And so now we actually haven't started watching the final season yet, because we didn't have time.
You've actually gotten farther than me, because I think we got halfway through the 2nd or 3rd season.
Okay.
And I think we ran out of time, or like we kept getting lost. And I was just like, I don't know what happened, but we just stopped.
Yeah. We've become very big fans of The Expanse. I thought season 4 kind of like lagged a little bit, but you haven't gotten that far. So I don't even know anything about what's going to happen in season 5. I guess it's only half out. Maybe they've been releasing it every week. I'm not entirely sure. But so we'll definitely be watching that. And maybe it's in season 3. This Chinese girl, Lily Gao, she comes into it, and so Lamu's been pretty excited to have like like an Asian actress in there and stuff like that. And we follow her on Instagram. I was like I commented on some of her things because apparently she's really into pu'er tea and like gong fu brewing and stuff like that. And I'm just like, well, I mean, it's pretty cool to kind of see that. That's what I think more sci-fi needs things like that. I mean, because clearly in the future, when you've got like Western culture and you've got Asian culture, people in the future are going to be drinking tea. They're not. I think the only sci-fi that really came close to kind of capturing a little bit of that connection was like Firefly. The fact that like Firefly really showed like the only cultures that are going to survive like 500 years in the future is going to be like Asia and China. And so I really liked how they connected that. But even still, they didn't have like tea brewing like integrated. I think that's missing. If there's any sci-fi like authors or influencers out there, you guys gotta get like future gong fu like brought into it because it would be there. Well, shoot, we've got a couple minutes left. Does anybody have any questions for me or any questions for Sara? Shoot, what else? Was there anything else on your list? Sara actually came prepared. I think she was ready to interview me. She's got like a list. It's probably like on a screen behind the camera. Like if there's a dead time, talk about this. That's right. Picard did like his tea. Like I said, Picard liked his tea. So there was a lot of but that was just like straight up like British style, Earl Grey hot, which is cool. But that's now all like a meme and culture on its own, which is kind of cool. But I'd certainly love to see like some like Asian influences in like gaming or anything like that would be kind of fun. Well, what else was on your magical list of topics to discuss? If there was a slow moment that we didn't get to yet, anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna talk about how I got into baking this year.
Oh, that's right. You have been doing some baking stuff. Well, we got a couple minutes left. Tell us about your baking adventures.
Oh God, it's so embarrassing. It all like relates back to like Pinto passing. It's funny how it's not funny, but that's just kind of what 2020 was for me. It was like trying to get through, and I of course like couldn't sleep for weeks and weeks,
right?
And I have many friends who are into the Great British Baking Show, and
that's a fun show.
I basically just started watching it to fall asleep, and then got really into it, and it took several months before I was like, I should try and bake something.
I can bake. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I bake like almost every weekend, and I make.
I think it's not just you. Like I think a lot of people have been really into I think it all came about with like this is the end of the world. We'll never be able to go shopping again. I should know how to make bread. Like, how do I make bread? Like, I'm going to need flour and I'm going to need yeast. And I remember like in March or April, like every store was out of flour and yeast. And it's just like, well, then there were recipes online. It's like, well, this is how you make your own yeast and things like that. Everyone became very prepper this year.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I saw you posted a picture of some bread or something that you did, which was kind of fun. Lamu's been experimenting with doing a little baking and stuff as well. I should probably do a little bit more. I've been making some little soda breads here and there and things like that. Let's see. Josh says, question for Glenn: how do you determine what will be in the Seattle inventory? I determine what will be in the Seattle inventory by what doesn't get lost when we ship it from China to here. If you're wondering why I don't have something in the Seattle inventory, it's probably because that package never arrived. We try to keep our Seattle inventory as up to date as possible, but we have lost many packages this year. And these aren't like little packages. We've lost like 30, 40 kilo boxes of tea and things like that. So makes it a little hard to keep the Seattle inventory up. But so that's the answer to that. It's by what doesn't get lost by China Post.
Do you ever wonder like what happens to those boxes? Like,
I think they dumped them. I think they just straight up dumped them. It's always in Shanghai. That's always my joke. I'm like, Lamu, our tea got Shanghaied again. Oolong Owl says, Seattle habits of any problem, we storm the stores for bread, milk, and bananas. Yeah, I don't get the banana thing. Like anytime like there's a hint of bad weather, all of the stores in Seattle empty of bananas. It's become like the biggest Seattle meme. If you watch any of like the Seattle Reddits, anytime like there's like, oh, big storm's coming in, like I got mine, and some guys like got like a handful of bananas because I don't get it. It's really funny. I don't get the banana thing.
I don't think I knew that. I wasn't aware of the banana thing. Okay,
We
good to
got a
know.
question from Jugpan. Hi Sarah, how did the tea cake inspire the wrapper drawing? Well, that was probably kind of like us working together, right?
I think, yeah, I mean, I've
Because
always liked the Beneath an Emerald Sea
yeah,
cake, and um, I think we just I like, well, whatever I make is gonna have pinto in it, and then you were like, that's fine, and I think we were just talking about like otter and
yeah,
pinto
you had
together,
done
and I
like
was like,
you had done like a
perfect.
double otter pattern thing, right? And or a
Hmm.
double otter illustration, which I thought was cool. And I've been kind of always also wanting to integrate some more like like Northwest type things into some designs. Kind of having like a nice balance between like China and the Pacific Northwest. And we've got like otters and sea life and all sorts of fun stuff here. And so I think it was just a conversation between us. Like, so I had already the name was already there. Like the blend was already ready to go. We just needed you to like make some cool art that kind of worked with it. And you were familiar with Beneath an Emerald Sea because you had it before that, and so you kind of understood
Hmm.
what the blend was, and you understood what like the name was and the concept. We just kind of worked back and forth until we came up with something. I mean, I pretty much just kind of gave you a rough concept. Like I want it to be very green. I want it to have like an otter. I want it to have pinto, some
Hmm.
sea life in there, and then I kind of just let you go with it. And you gave me
Yeah.
kind of like a rough pencil sketch and thing, and we kind of
Mm.
worked back and forth. And then I was just like, yeah, all right, that looks good. Now spend 4 weeks coloring in the green. Yeah.
For anyone who
With my
gets the
whip.
cake too, there's a
Yeah.
bunch of really fun stuff on the back
Yeah,
of it.
that's what people. If you're just getting a sample of this, you don't really know like
Yeah.
all of the fun stuff that's on there. There's like there's a seal up there. Uh, we actually saw some seals out in the Puget Sound for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I was out walking the kids, and they were so excited. And Gemma actually did the polar bear plunge so with us. Gemma ran into the Puget Sound on January 1st, right down there,
Uh-huh.
and Edmonds, on kind of like in the north of the ferry. It was really funny because like right after we got out, like Lon was like, look, there's 3 seals coming in, and it was 3 divers swimming through the water, and I was just like, I don't think those are seals, but it's like it's so hard to tell if you got somebody like all dressed in black and like he's just sitting
Yeah.
there floating in the water. You're like, I think that's a seal. So
Yeah.
that was kind of fun. You should join us next year. You want to do the polar bear plunge January 1st next year? You want to run in the water? Gemma did it.
Maybe.
Gemma did it. She's
Gemma
4 years old, and she went in there by
I
herself. She's
know.
very
Maybe
proud. She gets to
upstaged
wear
by a
like a little.
child.
She gets to wear her little polar bear hat now. She earned it. It's a little Bowers family tradition. It's kind of fun. She's so proud of that hat. She's been showing
I
all of her
bet
like
I would
preschool.
be.
She told her whole preschool like group about it. She's like, I went in the water. It's really cold. I was screaming a lot, and then I had to get out of the water really fast. But now I have a hat, and they're all the teachers like, great, that's awesome. Yeah, so it's pretty fun. Um, cool. Well, we went a couple minutes over, but it's not a problem. It's so much fun having tea with you. Um, I can't wait for this the whole like COVID thing to be done, so we can actually have you over for tea again. It's probably been at least 11 months since we've actually had like an in-person tea tasting here in the house, because we used to do them like every other week. We'd have somebody like messaging like, hey, can I come over for tea? And you were always here, and it was never just you. Well, it was sometimes just you, but you'd also bring like friends and things. You'd make like a nice big thing out of it, which was
Mm.
just tons of fun. So
Yeah, I think
we
you
will
might
get
have
back to
been
that.
like the last person I saw in 2020 before.
Maybe because that would have been
Because I went for my birthday, and I think that was like the
yeah,
last
end
thing
of
I did.
January thing or something like that. Because
Yeah.
right about then, like early February, is when we were like, we should just
Yeah.
take some precautions. Like the first COVID case was, well, like just blocks from your house and just a couple miles from mine. Like the first COVID case
Mhm.
in the U.S. was here, and so it was like we already knew like it's here. Like it's not going
Yeah.
to be getting any better. Excuse me, anytime soon. So we just kind of stopped doing tea tastings. Just made our own decision on that. I'm like, you know what? I just gotta do what I gotta do to protect my family. Like I don't want it. Lamo's dad is a medical doctor in China, so we kind of had an early insight on like things that were happening. So we just and that was tough because even back then people were like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I want to come over for tea. I'm like, I'm sorry, like we're worried about this pandemic thing, and they're like, what, the flu? And I'm like, I'm sorry. It's our decision. I'll if you want to order some tea, I can meet you at the street and hand it to you. And then I go out there with masks and get all like these weird looks. But hey, now everybody's got masks on and stuff. But
yeah, you were the first person I knew that was like, this is serious. And
I had to cancel my birthday party. my once a year LAN party. The only time I actually get a chance to hang out with any of my friends, like here together in person, actually having like a real LAN party. I had to cancel it. And my friends were like, dude, what are you doing? In hindsight, it would have been fine because none of them had COVID, but didn't know that for a month later.
Yeah.
Anyways, what's the last chat? Oh, Josh just logged in. Better late than never. Hello to all. Hello, Josh. We are just about to end the stream, but I thank you for logging in. You can the nice thing about streaming to YouTube is YouTube has it up like immediately, which is pretty great. You can't see the actual chat as it happens for about 24 to 48 hours. It kind of has to do a bunch of like server math on the back end and whatnot. So, well, this was a ton of fun. We do these tea tastings once a week. We try to do it once a week. I've got like a whole month of scheduled stuff out. I got some fun stuff at the end of the month. I haven't announced yet. We've got Oolong Owl is next, and that's going to be fun. And so yeah, guys, next Friday, tune in for Between Two Teapots with Crimson Lotus Tea and Oolong Owl, and we're going to be drinking the mysterious TKG, a very, very rare tea. Not a lot of people have that, so that'll be fun if I can find my cake of it. I've got lots of boxes downstairs that I need to go through. I'm like, where did I put TKG? Anyways, Sarah, thank you so much. This was so much fun. It's so much fun.
Yay!
And
yeah, I had fun too.
When it actually comes onto your birthday, let's just have another private tea tasting. Let's now that we got this all figured out, and I can bring like Lamo and the kids, and we'll sit there. We'll have tea with you on your birthday. So this doesn't count for your birthday tea session with Crimson Lotus Tea. We'll definitely let's schedule that, and we'll do that. And awesome. Cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. This has been a lot of fun, and definitely follow Twig and Snip on Instagram. Check out the things that she does, and check out her Etsy store for fun stuff. And thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Happy steeping. Bye.